You want to know about the Ultra League? You want to know about Giratina? Well, you came to the right place, because this is the Ultra League 101 Ultra League Meta Simplified. So here we got it, the infographic, made by yours truly, using data from Go Battle Sim on GamePress. Also did some spot simulations using PvP, so link to both sims in the description. Main thing to know about the Ultra League, and I've hinted at this in many of my other videos, is that Giratina runs the table. Like, you absolutely want to use Giratina. Everything here on this graphic either counters Giratina or is something that counters what counters Giratina. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to Giratina. And the main reason why Giratina is so dominant is because it's so versatile. Is it using Dragon Breath? Is it using Shadow Claw? Is it using Ancient Power, Dragon Claw, Shadow Sneak? You don't know until you know. And by the time you learn, it might be too late. When you look at the counters, Lapras, pretty good time, right? Ancient Power, oh, we're having a bad time. The dark types here, Shadow Claw, we're having a good time. Dragon Breath, not having a good time. Because of that, Giratina is definitely the dad. As far as the altered form goes, any combination of movesets is valid, but I will say that the using Dragon Claw is almost a given. Now you might be thinking, Ryan Swag, why don't I just use the origin form? Isn't that guy better? Well, two things working against it. Thing number one is it's the Ultra League. So you got the 2,500 CP cap, which punishes high attack stat Pokemon, and the origin form is the high attack stat form. So you're already starting out a little bit behind the altered form brother here. Then problem number two is that it's less versatile. Yeah, you're basically condemned to using an all ghost type moveset, which the Darklax squad here definitely enjoys seeing on a Giratina, right? Yeah, you could use Dragon Tail, you could use Dragon Pulse, but at the end of the day, it's going to make you way worse against just about everything else. So, But the focus on the ghost type damage is kind of its advantage, though. The Ominous Wind is more spammable than Ancient Power is, which means you could get the boost from the Ominous Wind. And then on top of that, you've got Shadow Ball, which has a lot more nuking power than anything that the Altered form can dish out. The Altered form is pelting you with all these tiny hits, and the origin form has that one big slap coming at you. So if your opponent isn't using somebody in the Darklax squad, well then you could have the advantage in the matchup with that guy. As far as which Giratina works best in the mirror, I'd say Dragon Breath variants. Dragon Breath, way to go, which means the altered form. But at the end of the day, it's all very case by case, right? Now moving on over to Giratina counters. The best one, overall, by far, in my opinion, is going to have to be Lapras, with the Legacy, Ice Shard, and Ice Beam, and then Surf to help out its other matchups. So big problem with Lapras is that you need the Legacy moves. So unless you have the Legacy moves, you don't, and then you can't get them, right? We did have the Lapras Raid Day, which gave you another opportunity to get the Legacy moves, but yeah, if you're missing out, then you're missing out, right? Another problem that Lapras can have is that it loses to Cresselia. I'm going to talk about Cresselia last, but Cresselia does have this anti-meta kind of niche reason to be hanging around. So if your opponents are using Cresselias, reasonable to expect, well then they're going to be beating your Lapras, which kind of sucks. There's also Melmetal, and if somebody's trying to get like extra anti-meta, like I know Cresselia is happening, haha, well then they could use Melmetal, and that's something else that Lapras does not want to deal with. But that aside, Lapras is pretty great. Yeah, because of the Surf spam, it's able to beat down the Darklax and the Steelix here, and definitely lays on some punishment to the fighting types that aren't named Poliwrath. So go Lapras. But if you don't have the Lapras, threat not, there are other options, such as the Darklax squad. So where Lapras is good against all the Giratina movesets, generally, the Darklax squad doubles down on the Shadow Claw movesets. Yeah, Shadow Claw Giratinas don't want to face these guys, because you basically put them on farm mode, more or less, making the matchup extremely nice. However, if you are up against the Dragon Breath set, well, now the odds have tilted back into Giratina's favor, and you're supposed to be a counter. Wow. So when it comes to Snorlax, important thing to note is Earthquake is generally better than Outrage. Outrage won't tilt things too much in your favor against the Dragon Breath sets, and if you're up against the Shadow Claw set, well, that fight is so ridiculously easy, you don't need Earthquake or Outrage. You can just use Lick and Body Slam, and you got it. So when it comes to fighting against Dragon Breath with Outrage, unless your opponent doesn't shield and basically just gives you the fight, Outrage really isn't going to make the difference. What does make the difference is Earthquake against Steelix, Melmetal, Lucario, and Toxicroak. So you tell me what's important. Then when it comes to Umbreon and Alolan Muck, I do feel that Alolan Muck has a lot more going for it than Umbreon does, but Umbreon does do the countering job better more consistently than Alolan Muck does. So there are slight trade-offs there. In general, if you don't have Last Resort on your Umbreon, just use Alolan Muck and don't worry about it. I don't think the difference between them is that big, but Umbreon is technically better in some respects than Alolan Muck. The cool thing about Alolan Muck is that it has Acid Spray. So once you do your Dark thing and you take down the Giratina, well, you can still use Acid Spray on the next Pokemon that comes in, weakening their ability to take on the rest of your team. So that could poise you to win. And since, in general, every team is going to be using Giratina, your chances of having that happen with the Alolan Muck are relatively reasonable. Then moving on down, we have Steelix. So where the Dark-Lax squad doesn't care about Shadow Claw, Steelix, and Melmetal, by extension, don't really care about Dragon Breath. Yeah, so these are the easy time against Dragon Breath team. In fact, Steelix here is arguably as consistent as Lapras is as a Giratina counter. Arguably. Slightly less. So, sorry Steelix. But yeah, Steelix, really freaking good. It's got Dragon Tail, it's got Crunch. What more do you need? And you're going to want to carry Earthquake for the same reasons that Snorlax carries Earthquake. Heavy Slam, I don't really know what you're going to be doing with Heavy Slam. And yeah, this guy basically brings the doom to everything not named Lapras and that isn't a fighting type. So tons of reasons to use Steelix. And now we got the shiny out there, so maybe whip out your golden Steelix. Teach these ghosty boys a lesson. Then moving on over, we got Melmetal. Melmetal, just like Steelix in the sense that it absolutely does not care about Dragon Breath. However, unlike Steelix, it's got a lot more to fear from the Shadow Claw movesets, and it also has a lot more to fear from the Dark-Lax squad and Steelix itself. So a little bit less consistent against the brothers, way less consistent against the fighting types. However, makes up for this by beating Lapras, and it beats Cresselia. So those are the main reasons why you'd want to use Melmetal. I'd say in general, if you're up against a random opponent, I'd probably side with Steelix more than Melmetal, but if you're doing some sort of Sylph League kind of thing, and you know what Pokemon your opponent's coming in with, and you see that they got the Lapras and the Cresselia on their team, well then that might give you a reason to bring in Melmetal. But I think in general, Melmetal's pretty good staying on the bench in a blind battle. And then finally, we got Cresselia. Do I have to tell you that Cresselia does not do well against the Shadow Claw movesets? I don't think I do. So Cresselia, main claim to fame is that it does the Giratina countering job against the Dragon movesets, and it can beat the fighting types that are meant to beat the counters to the Giratina. So really cool niche option there, and Cresselia does open up the door to some interesting counterplay strategies where you could use 2 Giratina counters and not using a fighting type and your Giratina for like some sort of like interesting like double paper team, right? And Cresselia does open the door to doing that more consistently because you don't get whomped by the fighting types if you use Cresselia. So that's the main reason to use Cresselia. If you do use Cresselia on your team, I'd say definitely bring somebody from the Dark-Lax squad, or you're probably going to have a bad time. Now moving over to the fighting types. The fighting types have a pretty interesting hierarchy. You got Lucario, who's beaten by Poliwrath, who's beaten by Toxicroak, and guess what? Toxicroak beats Lucario too. So why the heck would you want to use Lucario and Poliwrath? Well, the reason why is because they do have counterplay against Giratina. In fact, Lucario has Shadow Ball, so it has the ability to threaten Giratina and the ability to threaten and maybe even beat Cresselia. It's not 100% guaranteed. Those are matchups that you're probably going to lose, but Lucario has the option to really hurt them or KO them while still fulfilling its role as a counter to the counters to Giratina. So that's why you don't want to use Lucario. Poliwrath beats Lucario, but it trades its ability to beat Cresselia and trades a lot of threat for Ice Punch. So it still threatens Giratina. It ain't no chump against Giratina. It's got Ice Punch, right? But it's definitely not as scary as Lucario is. But benefit is that it beats Lucario. So there you go. As far as the fast moves go, Bubble is as good as Mudshot overall. Mudshot is technically more consistent, and Mudshot will allow you to win the mirror against another Poliwrath, but that aside, I'd say Bubble is basically as good. So if you don't have the Legacy Poliwrath, don't worry about it. Then finally we have Toxicroak, and out of all the possible fighting type Pokemon that could fulfill the role of beating these two chumps while beating all these guys, Toxicroak does it best and beats all the others. I can hear it now. What about Blaziken, Ryan Swag? Can I use Blaziken? Yeah, sure, you can use Blaziken. But it's going to lose to Toxicroak, and it might even lose to Poliwrath. awkward. Might even lose to Lapras, double awkward. Yeah, just use Toxicroak, man. As far as the moveset goes, I'd say go Counter, Mud Bomb, and Sludge Bomb. Double Bomb. Way to go. Dynamic Punch could give you more closing power against Pokemon that are weak to it, but I think Counter gets the job done more than enough to allow you to have that extra coverage there with the Sludge Bomb. And that's basically it. That's the Ultra League, man. You got Giratina, you got the stuff that beats down Giratina, and you got the stuff that beats what beats Giratina. Now, there are some interesting alternative picks as well. You can see down here, sneaking at the bottom. Who are these guys? Deoxys, Defense Form, and Mew, of course. Yeah, and these guys are kind of niche, interesting in the way Cresselia is, because they are able to counter the fighting types because they're psychic, and then they're able to counter the stuff that beats Giratina because they do have fighting type moves. We've got Focus Blast and we've got Counter. However, problem that they have is that Cresselia, for the most part, does not care about them, and they really don't have a whole lot to do against Giratina itself. So that's why they're kind of at the bottom. You can use them if you want to. They might work out well in like a Silpharina type format where you know what 6 Pokemon your opponent has. But I'd say in general, not that important for the Ultra League. And I mean, who the frick is going to max out a Deoxys Defense Form? I mean, there are people out there. You'll probably end up fighting them, and it's going to be really annoying. But overall, I don't think that they're that consistent of picks. And if you're curious about the future, over here we got Swampert. Swampert, next month probably, yeah, right, is going to get Hydro Cannon. And Hydro Cannon is really going to change the game for Swampert in so many ways. Yeah, Swampert's going to become a top pick in the Master League. Swampert's going to become an extremely powerful pick in the Ultra League. And Swampert is going to be way, way better than it is right now in the Great League. So watch out for the future. Swampert, Hydro Cannon coming in. And if it gets even more moves like Blaziken did, maybe that's how we're getting Muddy Water as a TMable move, even more potential to be crazy. So future Swampert, running sims on that, does really well against the fighting types and does pretty much well against everything here except for Cresselia. I think it didn't outright beat Lapras, had a good time against it, and I believe Snorlax and Umbreon didn't have like a perfectly losing matchup against the Swampert. But yeah, Swampert gonna be pretty dangerous in the future, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Now, as far as other future moves, Community Day Pokemon movesets go, I really can't predict the future. Charm was data mined, so that is a fairy type fast move. We don't have any stats on it. We don't know who's going to get it, but if the right Pokemon get it, well, then that could open the door for a new type of Giratina counter. But for the most part, I don't think we can expect too much out of Charm right now. But if you do want to know how good Charm is and how it could change the meta, well, then subscribe to SwagTips, and I'll update you when the time comes. And if you enjoyed this content, you want to see more like it, well then, yeah, do I have to tell you to subscribe twice? I guess I do. And if you got any questions on this content, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. SwagTips. Any combination of movesets is valid, but I will say that the using Dragon Claw is almost a given. Hi, Meow Meow. Are you here to counter Giratina, or are you the Giratina?